romance with no kisses, a fine romance, my friend. This is, we should be like a couple of hot tomatoes, but you're as cold as yesterday's mashed potatoes. A fine romance you won't nestle, a fine romance you won't wrestle. I've never mussed the crease in your blue serge pants, I never had the chance. This is a fine romance, a fine romance, my good fellow. You take romance, I'll take jello. You're calmer than the seals in the Arctic Ocean. At least they flap their fins to express emotion. A fine romance with no quarrels, with no insults, and all the morals. You're just as hard to land as the Ile de France. I never get the chance. This is a fine romance.
A fine romance with no kisses. A fine romance, my friend. This is true love should have the thrills that a healthy crime has. We don't have half the thrills that the march of time has. A fine romance with no clinches, a fine romance with no pinches. You never give the orchids I send a glance. No, you like cactus plants. This is a fine romance. Ho, ho, ho. Ha, ha, ha. He, you think the laugh's on me. They all laughed at Christopher Columbus when he said the world was round. They all laughed when Edison recorded sound. They all laughed at Wilbur and his brother when they said that man could fly. They told Marconi wireless was a phony. It's the same old cry. They laughed at me, wanting you. Said I was reaching for the moon. But oh, you came through. Now they'll have to change their tune. They all said we never could be happy. They laughed at us and how. But ho, 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 who's got the last laugh now? Too high to climb, but people from Missouri never incensed me. Oh, I wasn't a bit concerned, for from history I had learned how many, many times the worm had turned. They all laughed at Rockefeller Center, now they're fighting to get in. They all laughed at Whitney and his cotton gin. They all laughed at Fulton and the steamboat, Hershey and his chocolate bar. Ford and his Lizzie kept the laughers busy. That's how people are. They laughed at me, wanting you. Said it would be hello, goodbye. But oh, you came through. Now they're eating humble pie. They all said we'd never get together. Darling, let's take a bow. For ho, 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 who's got the last laugh? And what a last laugh. Who's got the last laugh now?
The man who only lives for making money lives the life that isn't necessarily sunny. Likewise, the man who works for fame, there's no guarantee that time won't erase his name. The fact is, the only work that really brings enjoyment is the kind that is for girl and boyment. Fall in love, you won't regret it. That's the best work of all if you can get it. Holding hands at midnight, 'neath a starry sky.
Whoa,
Nice work if you can get it, and you can get it if you try. Strolling with the one girl, sigh and sigh after sigh.
boy, it is.
Nice work if you can get it, and you can get it if you try, if you try. Just imagine someone waiting at the cottage door, where two hearts become one. Who could ask for anything more? Zip-doo-doo, loving one who loves you, and then taking that vow. Nice work if you can get it,
And if you get it,
won't you tell me how? Holding hands at midnight, 'neath a starry sky. Nice work if you can get it, and you can get it if you try. Rolling with the one girl, sigh and sigh after sigh. Nice work if you can get it, and you can get it if you try. Just imagine someone waiting at the cottage door, where two hearts become one. Really? Loving one who loves you, and then taking that vow. It's nice work if you can get it, and if you get it, won't you tell me so?
I won't dance, don't ask me. I won't dance, don't ask me. I won't dance, madam, with you. My heart won't let my feet do things they should do. Say, you know what? You're lovely. You know what? You're lovely. But oh, what you do to me. I'm like an ocean wave that's bumped on the shore. I feel so absolutely stumped on the floor. When you dance, you're charming and you're gentle, especially when you do the continental. But this feeling isn't purely mental, for heaven rest us, I'm not asbestos, and that's why I won't dance. Why should I? I won't dance. How could I won't dance. Merci beaucoup. I know that music leads the way to romance. So if I hold you in my arms,